DJ and PK, it's 97.5 The Zone. We're joined by Todd Phillips, UVU men's basketball coach. Todd, good morning.
Good morning. How are we doing, fellas?
We are doing well. Congrats on the contract extension. Congrats on the big year.
Thank you. Yeah, a lot of great things going on down here at Utah Valley, and excited to, like everybody else, go find some new guys to come in and have another great season.
Yeah. Find new guys. I mean, that phrase, which is part of college basketball, but it takes on a new meaning when you say find new guys. The traditional way is out the door. What does that entail when you say find new guys? Because immediately we think of getting players who are established already in the college game.
Yeah, no, I think that. I'm down in San Antonio right now, and, our convention's going on with the Final Four, and, everybody you talk to is just like, they're looking for guys, and it's not just the portal. It's high school guys, it's junior college guys, and it's just the nature of where college basketball is. I would say most teams have 7 to 8 guys that are in the portal. Whether they're looking to go higher, looking to go lower. A lot of guys now just want to look, and see what's out there, and they feel like they're missing something. And so it's just it's a whole new realm of college basketball the last 2 or 3 years as this continues to amp up with what's going on with players.
We all saw the stories, and I wonder if this is an eye-opener for coaches and changes things, or if you always knew it all along and now it's just more public and the media and the fans are catching up. Drake leans on, I think, 7 of their top 9 players didn't play D1 basketball. So is Division II, I mean, obviously JC has been a route to go for a long time. Is Division II, checking out Division II, something that schools need to look at more closely now?
Yeah, and I think they are. I think, you see some success in some higher-level guys moving up from D2 to high-level Division I. It's like, well, they can go there. They can go to the mid-majors. They can go to the low majors. And so, yeah, I think D2 and NAIA, all really similar stuff. It's all kind of open game right now. And the benefit for kids is they're getting in and playing at that level and then proving what they can do. So it gives coaches, another evaluation, and then the kids, are looking. And the weirdest thing out there with this is that kids aren't leaving because they're disgruntled. Kids aren't leaving because they're not happy. We've had quite a few kids in the portal this year, and every single one of them loved it. And obviously some want more playing time, some want more money. There's things that go in there, but their experience is really good. And it's just like there's an anxiousness or an excitement to see what's out there, right? And that's kind of where we're at with the portal and with kids right now. It's like, what else is out there? Like, well, dang, you got a pretty good thing going on here. You play a lot of minutes. It's good. What else do you want?
Okay, so, yeah, I agree with you on that, Coach. I mean, you had just using Toulson and Welling, guys that played well, were significant contributors. You're pretty much giving them about all the amount of minutes that they can handle, but yet they put their names in. Is there a level of frustration on your behalf?
Absolutely, 100% frustration. But, it's also, where it's at. When they came in, we talked about these things. We're pretty open and honest about where they're at and things. And, obviously at our place, the success, especially with big guys, is through the roof. I mean, those guys are getting paid $500,000 to $1 million after having success at our place, and it's continuing with Carter Welling. And so it's like we sell that when they come in, but does it mean we're sad when they leave? 100%. We are sad, but we understand. We understand where it's at and, try to help them the best we can that way. But it's, the whack with where we're at Utah Valley is a great, barometer for people. If you're really good at our level, the track record's shown that you can be pretty good at the high majors. And so it's not just Utah Valley. It's all these kind of mid-major leagues. It's a great place that people are farming kids out of.
We're joined right now by Todd Phillips, head basketball coach at UVU. Is there a real reluctance now from coaches to take freshmen? Is it, hey, let's find a junior and win with them for a couple of years, hopefully, maybe just one? So do you want to focus on the juniors and seniors, or can you get a much better player now because so few people are willing to take freshmen, or at least as many freshmen?
Yes, you're right on. I think it's a style from each team and each coach, what they're doing. I'd say ours changes, to be honest, every year. We've had a lot of success of bringing some kids in, redshirting them, and, our starting point guard was that way. We've had a couple other players that were moving up that way that have come in and come through the program. But what you're seeing is very few guys stay the same place for 4 years, and that's just kind of like, so if you bring a freshman in and you work with him and you get him better as a freshman, now he leaves in his good years or somewhere else. That doesn't excite you. Whereas if we bring a freshman from a Power 5 school comes in and didn't play much as a freshman, now is looking for playing time, he's naturally going to be better year 2 and year 3. And so now you're hopefully getting that better player at that time. And so there's a lot of, analytics. There's a lot of your own style of recruiting to what you want. And I would say for most schools, if they're like us, it's like you got to take what's best and what opportunity fits it. All of a sudden we need a wing, and we're looking out there, and there's a great high school kid that fits that. We might take a chance on that and go that way with that kid. And then hopefully they can build and stay. But the track record is showing that kids are not staying anywhere. You see it at the Power 5s, Utah, BYU, not just at the Weavers and the Utah Valley. You're seeing it everywhere.
For years, it seems like Utah Valley was known as, oh, yeah, that's the school Ronnie Price went to. But now you've had success. You've had 3 coaches, including yourself and the prior 2 before you in Pope and Manson, have success and have good teams, and actually they go on to bigger jobs. So I would think Utah Valley's profile as a basketball program has risen dramatically over the last 7-8 years. And with that in mind, where I'm going with this, as you bring in players and then they get better and have success and they move on, you have no real choice but to roll with it. The flip side then is how much, I don't want to necessarily use the word easier, but that's the only word I can come up with, is it for you to get players to replace them?
Yeah. No, I would say what's not easier, but that helps us is our campus. The growth of Utah Valley the last 10 years is just phenomenal. I played when Utah Valley was a junior college. I played in that league with them and remember being on campus. But, we bring kids in. We brought kids in from Miami last year, from Texas, who had never heard of Utah at all. And just they're blown away by our campus, the size, the niceness of it. Everything's new. Great practice facility, great arena. And then the classrooms, all that stuff is so nice. And so that really helps, and it helps us to what we're selling. You're selling a great mid-major with a place to come play and a lot of excitement with our fan base. And so that's been an easier sell, right? You're not coming to campus saying, hey, don't show them over here and hide from this. We get to show them the whole thing. And so obviously our success and people hear, oh yeah, you won the league. Oh yeah, Matson. And it helps us great. Yeah. Our old coach, Mark Pope, was in Kentucky. But, I think the biggest thing is when kids get on campus and see how great of a campus it is and the people involved there. And so that's really, I think, helped elevate our program over the last 5-6 years as we continue to grow up. And it's, a really exciting place to be. I love being here. I think it's tremendous. I think it's a great mid-major. Do I wish I could keep all these guys all the time? Most of my team, we won the league this year, and we were sophomores and a couple of juniors. Say, oh, you should have these guys for 2 more years. But that's just, how things are changing. And, I don't fault the kids at all. The kids are making great choices, and the money's out there. So you got to seize your opportunities in your years that you have to play.
How quickly do you see the money escalating, or has it kind of reached a level?
No, that's what we wish. I thought it was going to cap out 3 years ago and go down, and it's gone nothing but up, up. Every year it's gone up, and the price of kids and the price tag is just. It's astronomical. It's insane, to be honest with you. And I don't know how it maintains, but it is what it is right now. And so we'll see. I think you're capping out, especially at the mid-major level, is like what kind of money can you generate for those guys and how many kids can you bring in and where do they all fit? So I think schools are all trying to figure that out. But like the top kids, you used to have like 1 or 2 kids at $1 million to $1.5 million. There's probably, 30 to 50 kids this year, they're going to get $1 million to $1.5 million just for playing 1 year. And it's like that funds a lot of stuff.
Yes, it does. I think one of the things that we'd all like the back of the sentimentality of a kid commits, and then 4 or 5 years later, he's having his senior day at that same spot. But that is so outdated. But I think the thing that keeps me from really getting too upset about it is the fact that coaches have been able to do this for years. And so we're in the era of player empowerment. And so there's really no point in whining about it because, as we've seen every year, coaches leave and they leave successful programs because they think the next level is higher. So basically, from the coaching perspective, what the players are doing now is something that the coaches have been doing it for years. So we've just got to roll with that too.
Yeah, no, I agree. And, it does no good as a coach to be sour and complain, about things. You got to roll with the punches and deal with it. And exactly, coaches have been doing that. I think the system is still flawed for coaches and players of when you can leave. I mean, a coach shouldn't be leaving. We're talking about leaving in the middle of a NCAA run or whatever that's going on, and not sure how to compete or stop that. I will say though, that like coaches, we all have buyouts. It's not like I can just leave without forking over a bunch of money to leave. And so, we've been joking with some of my buddies is like, hey, we need buyouts for these players. You come in and we're gonna get this. Now you got to pay us this if you're gonna leave.
Yeah, yeah. So, I mean, we joke about it, but how about the idea of players basically, since they're in a sense, they're not necessarily employees, but they're professionals that way, that you have to sign a 2-year commitment. You think that could ever happen?
Yeah, I think it's going to go more that way. Something has to be done a little bit. I think one of the issues with everybody is obviously not the money, right? Money's a big thing, but like the moving year in and year out. Hey, we got a kid for 2 years. Okay, now he has the ability to transfer. I love the one-time free transfer rule, and then you have to sit out after that, because I think that it doesn't hurt the kids. I mean, these kids that were sitting out a year, we're now getting their masters, right? And so now not only am I playing basketball, getting paid to play basketball, if I have to sit out a year and get better, I'm also furthering my education. And so I really like that. I don't know if that will ever come back, but I thought that was a great way. You can transfer one time, and now if you transfer a second time, because there's tons of cases, right? You transfer up, you're not good enough at that level. There's all that stuff. But, the legislation, the NCAA, I know, is working hard to try to curtail this a little bit, because it's a little disheartening, right? You bring a kid in, they're there for a year, whether they're really good or whether they're developing. What's happening, to be honest with you now, is it doesn't matter. It's not just the best kids and the worst kids are transferring. There's almost like a anxiousness by everybody, like what else is out there, and you don't fault them. It's people are the same way. It's like, is a grass greener somewhere else, and so everybody's always looking for that. So I think if they can curtail that a little bit, it will really help. This 2-year contracts, I think, would be fantastic. I know some schools have been trying to get around, seeing how they could do that legally, like with that. So we're in an ever-changing time here in the NCAA with basketball and football. And I think eventually things will shake out a little bit, and we can kind of have a little bit of normalcy with it.
UVU basketball coach Todd Phillips joining us. Pull back the curtain a little bit. We've heard stories that it's okay. Coaches understand if in February players are getting calls from other schools and go-betweens and third parties who are arranging stuff. But there's you got to be a little honor among thieves here, and January's looked down on, and December is supposed to be a no-fly zone, but there are coaches who are desperate who are doing it. When do your kids start getting calls when you're in the middle of your season?
Yeah, good question. And I'll be honest, as a head coach, I'm probably naive to this a little bit, and I kind of want to stay naive and not think about it. I'd say our kids start getting stuff around December, especially like for impactful kids that have already kind of busted out or had a big year. And, we've had a pretty good track record with kids coming to our program and then just elevating their game. Our junior college kid this year, Dom Nelson, was the WAC Player of the Year. He sat in my office the other day, and he's like, I never thought this would happen, Coach. And I'll be honest, we were bringing him in to compete for a starting position, and so that stuff starts there, and it starts with a lot of people. It starts with parents. It starts with their workout guy. It starts with, a lot of these kids now have agents. So the agents, are basically, we as coaches have rules. These agents have no rules. There's no rules. There's no stipulations or anything. So, that starts happening. I mean, shoot, I was talking to a buddy of mine in the Big 12 outside the state of Utah, and he called me in November and talked about, hey, people are talking about Carter Welling, they're trying to recruit him and stuff like that. And I'm like, it's November. We played 5 games, but the kind of the names get out there and they start on that. And so sometimes it's agents. The other thing that's happening is agents trying to get kids. So an agent will come in and they'll say, hey, I'm trying to get Carter Welling. I'm trying to get him to sign with me. I'm going to reach out to all these schools on his behalf without him even knowing and say, oh, yeah, Cincinnati told me they'll give you $400,000. Come sign with me and I can get you $400,000 at least at Cincinnati. And so now they're pitching their sales. And so to me, the whole issue is there's no regulation. There's no like, hey, these agents have no rules they have to abide by. Mom and dad's a different thing, right? Hey, you're not supposed to talk to mom and dad, but they do that. But to have now a third party out there, it gets really tricky. And I think that's why so many of the Power Fives have gone to, they have a staff now and a guy who deals with all their NIL. He's talking to those agents all the time.
When do you think UVU's roster for the 25-26 season will be finalized?
It will be done. We do 8 weeks in June. We start practice, and it should be finalized then. So it comes pretty quick. Things start to shake up pretty quick. We get visits in. I think one of the things that's changed is we're doing a lot more visits of kids coming in than our coaches being out all over the place, especially in the spring and summer. It used to be at all these AAU events, which will still be quite a bit. But it's like now we got to have kids in on visits so they can see our place because we're recruiting for this year instead of having, hey, we got 2 kids to get, that's all we need, and now we're recruiting for next year. So, yeah, I think we'll be done, mid-May. We'll have pretty much most of our roster done. When we have some kids in the portal right now that we think hopefully will come back to us, that we have a great chance to get back as they kind of sort through stuff. So it comes pretty quick. But I've been a JUCO coach for a long time, so I stress, but maybe not as much as some of my old counterparts who have been in Division I their whole time. It's like usually their team is done, in May. They're done and they have everybody. It's just not that quick anymore.
Welcome to the party, pal.
Exactly.
All right, last thing before we let you go. My first TV station, they took a staff photo of everybody's station when I'd only been there a little while, probably just a few weeks. And unbeknownst to me, a year later, I found out that a friend of mine keeps that photo in his desk, and nobody really uses whiteout anymore, but in those days there was whiteout, and he would white out people's faces as they left, and it led to a hilarious picture of all the people who were coming and going. If I did that with your team photo from a year ago that's on your website that I'm looking at right now, how many faces would be left in a year or in 2? What kind of turnover do you brace yourself for over a 1 or 2 year span?
I think it's typically probably 5 to 6. As you probably look at that roster, we're pretty young. It's a lot less like forward seniors graduate, right? And we like to be old. And so when I say young, a lot of times we're sophomores and juniors, but not as many seniors. Like on this year's team, we had no seniors. We had one kid that came in but has another year, so we had no seniors. So everybody can play again next year. So a lot of times you'll lose, 2 or 3 of those guys, then you lose a couple guys at portal. So ours will probably be 5 or 6 this year at the end of it. And so we'll bring some good guys back, and I think that's the important thing. If you can bring half your team back, you're ahead of the curve going into next year. And I think as you see in the state, just the Cougars down the road, when they can bring those guys back, they've been such a better team. And same with us. We brought 5 guys back last year. They weren't all starters, but they were pieces, and that made us we're ahead of the game to start with. And so that's the goal there. And I think the one thing, I thought you were going a different direction with this, is one of the cool things of Utah Valley is if you come into our place in the summer, you're gonna see almost all those guys back. They come back on campus. They come work out at our place. They come play pickup. Bardaz Amac, who went to Cal with Matson, and was at Texas Tech. He's back here in the summer. The guys know it's a great place, and they come and work out and play with our new guys. And we're trying to create a family with guys maybe for 1 year. But it is, because they know it's a great place, and it's a safe place they can come in and get to work as they're overseas or whatever they're doing. So it's a little consolation for us. I wish we could use those guys again, but it's a good consolation to know that we're doing something right down here at Utah Valley, and continue to bring in good players and develop them.
Coach, we appreciate a few minutes. Enjoy the Riverwalk, and good luck finding players.
I appreciate it. Thanks for your time.
Todd Phillips, he's a UVU basketball coach. He joins us right here on the Zone, pulling back the curtain a little bit. 5 games in, somebody's calling about a player.
Oh, yeah.
And that's a friend.
He's talking about Welling, who I think began at Irvine.
Hey, they're talking about your guy. What's the deal?
I know, that's funny. I mean, the kid's a player.
Yeah, right. And as soon as they start playing, people are watching.
Yeah.
So, DJ and PK, Jerry Sloan was right. He always used to say 29 other teams are watching. In this case, 360 whatever teams are watching. How many was it this year, Yak?
There are reports that it's north of 3,000 on the men's side and more than 1,500 on the women's side.
Right, but how many teams were D1 this year with teams?
366?
366, okay.
Something like that.
DJ and PK, it's 97.5, The Zone.